morning rightly said, look deep into nature and you will understand things better. Good evening, one and all. I, Nirja Bhatnagar, along with my colleagues, Ms. Vidhi Oberoi, welcome our respected Principal Ma'am, Mrs. Asha Prabhakar, Principal of our sister schools, Vice Principal Ma'am, HMs, and our colleagues of all branches of Bal Bharati in this session on eco clubs and water conservation. I take this opportunity to also welcome Ms. Aditi Sharma, our guest speaker, to this guest session. Shakespeare rightly said, the earth has a music for those who listen. To begin with, let's see what our Mother Earth has to convey to us.
I am home. I give you comfort. I shelter your family. See me for who I am. Home, sweet home. I am your refuge. I am the floor that supports you. The foundation that keeps you steady. The walls that give you shelter. The roof that protects you. I am your home. If you don't take care of me, I cannot take care of you.
I am sure this has definitely sent a strong message across us. The time is running out and man needs to stop its action because our earth has enough for our needs, but not for the greeds. And let's see what's happening globally and locally. Now, some of the glimpses of the environmental disasters. Coming to the first one, Australian forest fires. We all are aware of it. 17 million acres of land burnt, 11 times higher than the hazardous level is the air quality. 1 billion animals could be impacted by the fires. And 30% of the koala population is believed to have been killed. I request all of you to please close your mics. Next is the air pollution, Delhi air pollution. We are well aware of it that we are in gas chambers. And Delhi, most of the time, throughout the year, it's in the red zone. As we compare Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, and Hyderabad, the four metro cities, we find Mumbai and Hyderabad being in the green zone, Calcutta trying to be in the green zone, and Delhi perhaps struggling hard to survive. So coming to the next glimpses, that is Hyderabad floods. We are well aware of it since it has recently taken place. A city like Telangana, which has received excessive rainfall in October 2020. Now, what is the reason? It's all man-made activities, population growing exponentially. Mind you, zero point 0.1 million was the population in 1950, and now it's 10 million. The natural pathway of the water has been blocked by the urbanization. Urbanization means making new offices, markets, colonies, not done. We have been feeding our lakes for the diet of garbage, sewage, and making them sick. So what has happened actually is the water bed has risen and the capacity of the lake to hold the water is lessened. And so is the water flooding into the city area. Again, a man-made activity. Now coming to the very close Yamuna River, our Delhi river. Is it a frozen river? No, it's not a frozen river. It's Yamuna full of toxic froth. And this froth definitely tells us that the river is going dead. Dead means flora, fauna, nothing is there because that's a zero dissolved oxygen area. We need to work on this. Coming next, very close to us, Delhi East, Ghazipur landfill, a garbage mountain of Delhi. Garbage piles up, since 1984. Not bothered. 65 meters risen, 213 feet. Just imagine, every year 10 meters it's rising. Every day, approximately 3,000 tons of garbage has been dumped. And mind you, this is the pandemic area. The worst case is that the plastic pollution is increasing. The plastic dumping will increase. So this 3,000 tons will definitely rise to 4,000. Expected to surpass the height of Qutub Minar, not very impressive. And more than 30 lakh people living around are affected. Need to be really concerned. Now have a look of the plastic pollution in Delhi itself. And if you compare with the major cities, the statistics tells us 689 tons per day we are producing plastics. Unmanageable. Have a look of the last city been shown here, Pune 101, the green area of Maharashtra. We need to really work hard and stop the man-made waste. Coming next to our slide, pandemic, a serious thought to be given. Pandemic producing a lot of waste, a new challenge. If you have a look of this graph, can you see how exponentially the waste of the plastic has increased from 0 tons to 350 million tons, mind you. This is the statistics for the last 50 years. Where are we going up to? And mind you, this will not only affect our water reservoir, it will also affect our land reservoir. And when it is put in the landfills, definitely toxic gases will affect us. So a huge impact on the environment. What is the present scenario? Have we thought of? We have already seen our children wearing masks, fighting against the air pollutants in Delhi. Now the pandemic has come. Again, a thicker mask, no breath. And very soon, the second picture tells that we'll be carrying oxygen cylinder, a cylinder to survive. And the ads that we'll be seeing is that we'll be seeing a mask is free with an Oxy 99 cylinder. Not a very appealing advertisement. And believe me, environment has wrapped us with the plastics. Now we need to really hear what Greta Thunberg says. She says, you say you love your children above all else, and yet you're stealing their future in front of their very eyes. A very strong message. Need to work and really put our hands together. The earth is yelling. It's saying Mayday. And mind you, the person standing here, the man, ignorant man, is saying, no, why is she telling Mayday? It's the Earth Day is in April. So really, the man is really ignorant. And we need to work together. And the only way forward, if we are going to improve the quality of the environment, is to get everybody involved. When we talk about involvement, we need to involve our children. So apt to say here, we won't have a society if we destroy the environment. We are just mankind. Without earth, we are nothing. We need to be involved. We need to join hands. And that is what CBSE has tried to do it for the children. That is the future generation. CBSE has brought an eco club and conservation of water policy, which gives us 4 major objectives to understand. The first is create awareness and sensitivity about the environmental issues. Develop skills, positive attitudes, and ethics towards the environment. We need to learn the etiquettes, demonstrate an initiative to analyze the environmental problems, suggest and implement suitable solution. That means we need to develop a problem-solving approach. Engage learners in scientific inquiry and develop a scientific temperament. That is what is required to face the challenges that are going to come very soon. We need to join hands to make the change. Coming to our next slide, that is the main initiative taken by CBSE to form an eco club in the schools. Basically, seeing the global dimensions, we need a concrete, committed, and collective response, especially from the education sector. And that is what is the foundation of our eco club in schools, which is nothing but a group of students who are environmentally conscious and which are definitely going to give their contribution to the society. We need to again make the children ready for the challenges. Now, coming up, how do we set up an eco club in the school? The steps are we should enroll some of the very good children who are interested in the environmental issue and solving it. Second, we need a proper teacher-student ratio. Third, the functioning of the eco club should be smooth. Next, the activities taken should be of the preferred location. Coming to the next, that we should have a solid action plan, a plan to work on, a plan that will give the right results towards the environment. So we need to assess these activities also by the attitudes, the behavioral change in our students. Now, next, very important that we often forget as teachers due to short of time is documentation. We need to document what we have done. We need to document the progress. We need to document the outcome. And when we document the outcome, we need to also upload it, the progress in the app that the CBSE is going to prepare very soon. So coming to the next slide, we understand that we need to be sustainable schools. And that is what is the inspiration of eco clubs. When we're talking about this inspiration, we should motivate children in the theme focus areas like water, very important, waste to be dealt with, energy to be conserved, food to be saved, not thrown, biodiversity to be taken care of, land to be really thought of, and air really need to be less of toxic pollutants. Now, these are the main focus area where we can really work and put an impact on the environment. Now, if the assessment is the case, we can assess our children through audits, behavioral change, through writing of research articles, and through their performance through drama and debates. And when we document our progress, it should be added in the annual report of the school, which must contain a solid write-up of all the efforts done by our eco club. So that will make it complete. Hence, the CBSE brought in the circular in 2019 that every school should have an eco club regarding the maintenance and also taking care of the environment. Coming to the next slide. World has to be transformed. And for transformation of our world, there are 17 SDGs, what we call as Sustainable Development Goals. And out of which, I was just going through an article, out of which there are 6 to 7 goals which are totally focused for the environment. How serious is an issue to be taken care of? And with these 17 sustainable goals, all the countries throughout the world are working for the sustainability. So why not the schools? Coming to the next slide, I will show you some of the agenda that has been taken as the goals by Bal Bharti Parivar for the students to develop their eco club efforts. Now, if we look into the agenda, we have energy conservation, we have reuse and recycle, we have paper reuse, we have to understand the waste recycling and reusing, and last but not the least, the plastics. The most dangerous solid waste need to be dealt and minimized. So these 6 agenda definitely gives a solid foundation to the eco clubs of Bal Bharti. Coming to the next slide. In order to keep this agenda going, to get children involved, to understand these agenda points, we have involved our children in special assemblies, in making exhibitions and projects, in holding exhibition regarding to plastics, in going in for eco-conscious projects like making eco bricks, and also researching in how plastics can definitely produce diesel. Plantation drives, display of the boats and rallies, display of posters being made by children, and Nukkad Natak. And last but not the least, the outbound learning, that is trips and tours. Definitely, they make a lot of difference in the mindset of children. And that is what is required, a change to be brought in. A change to be brought in the mentor's mind, a change to be brought in the children's mind. So coming to the next slide. When you document well, when you upload it well, when you channelize the things well, you are definitely rewarded. You're rewarded with awards. And I'm so proud, and I share my experience of the last 7 years that we have been the winners of the Green School Award since last 7 years, and this year also the recipient of Climate Change Award. The next slide. We have also been a recipient of Uttar Pradesh Energy Conservation Award, which is again a feather in our cap. But these rewards, these awards do not stop us. We need to work and understand that simply by rewards and awards, we will not bring a change. But if we keep on working and get involved in many such actions, we will definitely bring a change in the mindset. Now, we need to understand how small little steps, how small little choices, how small little actions that we take in our life bring a change. Let's have a look how fast fashion brings a change in the environment and definitely puts a very negative environment impact. Please, can we start?
Fashion is a $1 trillion industry, and according to the UN, it is also the second biggest polluter. Around 500,000 tons of microfiber clothing is now being dumped into the ocean every year, the same as 3 million barrels of oil. Even in the average household, WRAP estimates that the amount of new clothing bought by one family in a year gives off the same amount of emissions as driving a car for 6,000 miles. And to make, it takes enough water to fill 1,000 bathtubs. Our love of clothes is also contributing to plastic pollution, with one washload of polyester clothes sending up to 700,000 microplastic fibers back into the environment. But do we at least appreciate our clothes once we've bought them? Well, we send around 140 million pounds of our clothes to landfill every single year. And 1 in 6 of us have as many as 5 items in our wardrobe that we've never even worn. So here are some top tips how to break your fast fashion habits. Number 1, get more wear out of your clothes. Even extending the life of your garments by less than a year can make a big difference. If half of us wore our clothes for an extra 9 months, we could cut carbon emissions by 8%. Number 2, get second-hand shopping. Charity shops save over 300,000 tons of old clothes from landfill each year, and online sites where you can buy, sell, or swap used clothing are more popular than ever. Number 3, watch your washing. It takes nearly 4,000 litres of water to wash a single pair of jeans over their lifetime. Simply thinking twice about stuffing things in the wash that you've only worn once can reduce the impact your clothes have on the environment, as can washing on a lower temperature. Finally, number 4, get savvy with your shopping. If you are buying new clothes, see what stores have made commitments to combating fast fashion. Some shops are using more recycled material, whereas others offer lifetime repair services or even vouchers for bringing in your old clothes. After all, fashion doesn't just have to be about looking good, it's also about doing good too.
So with such documentaries and small little movies, we can definitely update and upgrade the knowledge for our children to face the challenges that are going to come in the future. Now we really understand by this video that every act, every choice, whether it's clothes or whether it's any other practice that we do, definitely puts an impact on the environment. We need to also understand that we as mentors, as teachers, need to unlearn, learn, and relearn. For example, I would definitely bring a direction to my children in the Eco Club that they have to work now on what is the impact on the environment of this coronavirus pandemic. They need to work on carbon emissions. They need to research a lot for the waste handling. They need to also research on the wildlife and habitat and also on the energy sector. So this is how we have to upgrade as mentors and also upcome with new things for the children to take a different direction. Coming to the next slide. Now, what we see here different logos of different brands. Now, can anyone tell me that what do they gauge from the type of the logo that I have shown here and why? What is the reason behind it? Anybody can come, please, and share the knowledge. Okay, I go ahead, since the time is less, I go ahead and I would like to share here the logos here. If you see the left and the right side logo of the same brand, it shows a difference in the amount of ink. And this ink definitely, if it is reduced even a small little, can definitely put an impact on the ecological footprint. So small steps taken by the corporates, even in using the ink for the logo, can bring a big difference. Now, when we are talking about the big difference, we need to definitely think that small little steps, if we motivate children to take, they can bring a big difference. We need to also bring change in our mindsets and attitudes to see the change in our children, and we need to motivate them. And what better example I can give you of Greta Thunberg, Swedish girl. She's a voice on the international platform working for and fighting for climate change. Let us have a look of this beautiful clipping of Greta Thunberg.
My name is Greta Thunberg. I am 15 years old and I'm from Sweden. I speak on behalf of Climate Justice Now. Many people say that Sweden is just a small country and it doesn't matter what we do. But I've learned that you are never too small to make a difference. And if a few children can get headlines all over the world just by not going to school, then imagine what we could all do together if we really wanted to. But to do that, we have to speak clearly, no matter how My name is Greta Thunberg. I am 15 years old and I'm from Sweden. I speak on behalf of Climate Justice Now. Many people say that Sweden is just a small country and it doesn't matter what we do. But I've learned that you are never too small to make a difference. And if a few children can get headlines all over the world just by not going to school, then imagine what we could all do together if we really wanted to. But to do that, we have to speak clearly, no matter how uncomfortable that may be. You only speak of green, eternal economic growth because you are too scared of being unpopular. You only talk about moving forward with the same bad ideas that got us into this mess, even when the only sensible thing to do is pull the emergency brake. You are not mature enough to tell it like it is. Even that burden you leave to us children. But I don't care about being popular. I care about climate justice and a living planet. Our civilization is being sacrificed for the opportunity of a very small number of people to continue making enormous amounts of money. Our biosphere is being sacrificed so that rich people in countries like mine can live in luxury. It is the sufferings of the many which pay for the luxuries of the few. The year 2078, I will celebrate my 75th birthday. If I have children, maybe they will spend that day with me. Maybe they will ask me about you. Maybe they will ask why you didn't do anything while there still was time to act. You say you love your children above all else, and yet you are stealing their future in front of their very eyes. Until you start focusing on what needs to be done rather than what is politically possible, there is no hope. We cannot solve a crisis without treating it as a crisis. We need to keep the fossil fuels in the ground, and we need to focus on equity. And if solutions within this system are so impossible to find, then maybe we should change the system itself. We have not come here to beg world leaders to care. You have ignored us in the past and you will ignore us again. We have run out of excuses and we are running out of time. We have come here to let you know that change is coming, whether you like it or not. The real power belongs to the people. Thank you.
So the takeaway is that we are never too small to make a difference. And we need to understand time is running out. Now, being an environment club in charge of my school, Bal Bharati Public School, Noida, and belonging to Bal Bharati Parivar, I dream, I hope, under the strong leadership of my principal, ma'am, that one day one of our students of Bal Bharati will definitely be Greta Thunberg, will be the voice of the nation, and on the international platform will be the cause going against environmental issues. Thank you very much here, because many miles we have to go. And now I would like to end my presentation saying that we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. So let us all, the mentors, the teachers, be the change to see the change we wish to see in our children. This ends my presentation, and now I would like to invite our guest speaker, Ms. Aditi Sharma. She has completed her graduation in Environment Science from Ramjas College, Delhi, and a post-graduation in Environmental Management from the Forest Research Institute, Dehradun. She has worked in various projects of climate change, waste management, and renewable energy. For the past 7 years, working in education sector in organizations like Azim Premji Foundation and Center for Science and Environment. She is currently working as a senior manager projects at ECO India. Aditi, we welcome you once again. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for those generous words. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Great. Thank you very much. So I would just like to mention here, I was listening to your presentation and I kind of feel that most of it has been already covered. And secondly, I also feel that all what I've learned has come from the teachers and principals, school leaders from all the schools I've worked with so far, including Bal Bharati School in Noida, in Gurgaon, etc. So without much ado, I would kind of start, my presentation on environmental education in school and later. This is what the topic was given to me. So what is it that we do today, and after school, what is it that the children need to do in case they're interested in, working in the field of environment? So let's start from the beginning. When the Earth began, it came into being 4.5 billion years ago, and humans came into being 66 million years ago. And starting from then and today, we are sitting in 2020. It's just a matter of few hundred years when the entire exploitation and the degradation of Earth was brought about. So if we kind of try to gauge the entire problem which we see today is kind of a result of our activities which we did in the past 400 years since the discovery of fossil fuels and industrialization which came into being. And the population rate of humans grew drastically, because of which the resource exploitation also was very high. And that led to us kind of situation. There's a video, ma'am, if you would like to play that video. If you click on and then this thing in the first slide, please. Yeah, so this is a video which basically, yeah, the previous one. Yes. So if you click on and then, this is a video which is a very common video, but this sort of puts things in perspective. So ma'am, if you click on and then, the last line of the text. All right, I think there's some issue with that. So probably we can come to it a little later. So we'll go to the second slide. So the video basically talks about, it's an animation called The Man, and I'm sure all of you have seen it. because it's such a video which everyone likes the animation with, the way human being tried to kind of, exploit all sorts of environmental resources, be it land, be it air, be it industry resources, etc. So, so after all of this was happening, this kind of became a global problem rather than just being, the day-to-day problem which people used to face. It became a global problem, and the highlight was to kind of bring up some sort of a system wherein education about environment will be brought upon in a formal way. For everybody who comes up, who kind of studies or gets the education, has to get, has to get a learning or a course on environmental education. So UNESCO's Intergovernmental Conference on Environmental Education, which happened in 1977 in Tbilisi, this was the first international, conference which brought about various principles and goals of environmental education. It's kind of suggested to all the teachers who want to, understand how environmental education came into being, to just give it a read. It's a very interesting and very inclusive document which talks about the principles and goals which have been kind of absorbed in all most of the countries who are practicing this environmental education. In India also, after the these international conferences such as this one and the first sustainable conference we had. So in India also we kind of brought upon certain laws and acts and regulations to streamline the environmental processes and the impacts of various activities which were happening. And in the education sector, there was this the course of EVS was introduced. But the thing is, it's not enough to kind of introduce a course and let it be. It was observed by a very well-known lawyer, Mr. Mehta, who kind of brought it up as a PIL in the Supreme Court of India to make environmental education mandatory in schools and in colleges. So after that, this was kind of brought up as a part of as a separate subject till the primary classes, and later on it is supposed to be infused in each and every subject. So I was listening to ma'am when she was talking about the various awareness activities which the school has undertaken as a part of creating awareness among children, sensitization on environment, etc. So, so if the teacher is teaching a subject, it could be science, it could be maths, it could be social science, it could be language, it could be any subject. When a teacher is teaching the subject, it has to be brought into the perspective that everything which we teach has a connect with the outside world. So it has to be, contextualized in a way that the child understands the implications of environment, on of whatever concept one is learning, right? Ma'am, just a moment, please. If you could go to the previous slide. Right. So after that, the awareness activities, obviously the Eco Club activities definitely play a very big role, but the core education will come only when we as teachers try to include the element of environment in every which subject we teach. I'll just take an example, very simple example of assessment. When you teach a concept of mathematics, let's say you're teaching, the very basic concept of addition and subtraction to primary children. How do you test or assess that they've understood it, and you don't have to kind of put in extra effort to help them understand? So you'll give them a very basic a sum to do, or an addition or a subtraction sum to do. But in case you want to teach them about environment, how do you assess that they've learned about it? There's no way to kind of assess unless and until you see that they're practicing it in their day-to-day life. There's a chapter called garbage in, garbage out in science in class 6. How do you know that the child has understood? It's very easy to read it. It's very interesting, and it's got it's scoring as well. But how do you know that the child has actually understood and will be practicing it? So that the only way to do that is to see that the behavioral change has come about, and the child will not litter, is not littering in the classroom, in the school, is kind of segregating the waste properly as the dustbins are slotted. So that's the only way for a teacher to know, and that's why it's important to have a perspective of environment while teaching any subject. Thank you. Can you go ahead, please, ma'am? In the next slide. Right. So next, I would like to kind of throw some light on few principles which were proposed by David Orr. He's an environmental educationist and a faculty in Oberlin University in the US. He The article which he had kind of this was a speech which he made in one of the school, which is called "What is Education For?" It suggested that you all give it a read. It's got 6 principles, very, very relevant and important for any part of the world, wherever we are, for any classroom or any kind of school we are teaching in. So first of all, he says that all education is environmental education. It doesn't have, you cannot teach economics or physics to a child without, he or she being understanding the context of it to the society, right? Otherwise, it's no point of teaching just about one concept of law of thermodynamics if he does not understand the context of it to the environment. The goal of education is not mastery of subject matter, but of one's person. All the knowledge, facts, information, whatever, we can do a lot of, giving them a lot of knowledge. But the fact is, unless and until they don't bring it in their practice, it's of no use. Knowledge carries with it the responsibility to see that it is well used in the world. So, in case the various examples that we see today, air pollution or plastic menace, all of it came to us through knowledge. But the application after we started using plastic without the, without the responsibility of the waste needs to be taken care of or managed, we completely ignored that fact. We completely ignored the fact that we have so much of fossil fuel. We completely ignored the fact that we have to take care of the emissions which come out of it. So unless and until we don't take the responsibility of knowledge, it's going to be very, very fatal. The next one says, we cannot say that we know something until we understand the effects of this knowledge on real people and their community. So everything has to be dealt with in a way that the community is the beneficiary of it, and it has to be made simple and simple to be used for them. The importance of minute particulars and the power of examples over words. As teachers, this is very important principle for all of us. Whatever we are teaching children in the classroom, we first have to exemplify it by our own actions. Only then they will learn. I'm sure everyone agrees with it, and I'm sure you're already practicing it. The last one being the way learning occurs is as important as the content of particular courses, right? So here we're talking about pedagogy of any kind of subject, any topic we are teaching. So pedagogy is very important. The way we teach it, the way we learn it is very, very important, as important as the content and the perspective. Next slide, please. Right. So now I come to the next part of my presentation, which is about environment as a career. So I don't think I need to and in today's day and age, when we are sitting at a juncture where everything is so interconnected and it's so visible to everybody because of the digital revolution that we have, everything what we do, everything what we have around us is completely related to environment. But to put it in certain pockets, environment as a career can be explored in various walks of life. It could be in academics, like as a teacher, as professors, as lecturers. It's there in the industry. All the industries that we have today, which kind of bring up the production and resource generation, have to have an environmental element to it. So that's where environment comes into picture. Policy making, definitely, if we want to streamline the processes, we want to streamline the resources and the products, there has to be a policy through which everything is governed and regulated. Then we have communications. Whatever we do or say has to be communicated. Journalism, writing, etc., comes into environmental journalism, etc. It's very, very niche and much practiced nowadays. Research. So in every walk of life, in every aspect of environment, research is extremely important. So whatever we do today, whatever we have come to today, has research in its foundation. So all the nanotechnology, plastics, waste management, anything which we do has to have a very, very concrete research behind it. So environment as a career can be explored in various of these categories. But specifically, if you want to talk about specifics, I also kind of did my graduation and post-graduation in environment, and there were a number of areas one one can explore and go into. So I have kind of listed down a few for all of you to look at. I'm sure we are already aware of it, but I kind of tried to put them into words here. So if you could go to the next slide where we kind of see, the fields. So it's completely, covering all the area, and I kind of found it's difficult to shortlist a few of them to put it here because there are so many of them to do. Everything, for example, right from the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the air we breathe, the water we drink, anything where we go, whatever we see, the buildings which we live in, has got to do with something to do with the environment. It has to be in harmony with the environment, and that's why we need professionals and experts to help us. Because with time that which went, we kind of forgot the idea of being close with nature. We got into the greed of accumulating more and wasting more and consuming more, and which is why we need experts and professionals to help us bridge that gap and go back to basics and connect with our environment. So these are all the very very few fields which I've mentioned. There are very many which children might want to go into. The children nowadays, I see, feels like communication and social media being so much there, and with pandemic, it's basically the hero of all the work we do. It has to be visualized through some sort of a communication platform, and I see children as young as 10 years of age sharing their experiences on composting or organic farming in their gardens. So I think, and I'm sure Bal Bharti schools are also doing that. As a part of my association with the Green Schools program previously, I had the opportunity and privilege to interact with many of the teachers and students in Bal Bharti schools, and I saw the initiatives that they're taking are kind of, I'm sure. The children are already drawing inspiration and are on the right track to go into the fields of environment. But just the last point which I would like to make here is that whatever one is doing, irrespective of the field one is in, it could be directly related to the environment or not. There always has to be a perspective in the back of one's mind that whatever I'm doing has to have some kind of a concern for the environment. As ma'am very rightly said, that whatever we do, whatever walk of life we are in, we have to have that concern and consideration for the environment. So lastly, in the last slide, I've added this quote from Aldo Leopold, who also was an environmentalist, a forester, and conservationist. He says that whenever we're teaching children about environment, are we making them aware that they are only cogs in an ecological mechanism, such that if they work with that mechanism, their mental wealth and material wealth can expand indefinitely. But if they refuse to work with it, it will ultimately grind them to dust. So I think with this quote, I would put my discussion to halt. And thank you very much for listening. And I hope there's much for me to learn as well. I'm still in the learning journey. So we'll keep this interaction on. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi, for an enlightening session. Greetings for the day, everybody. I, Vidhi Oberoi, would like to take this conversation forward to discuss about one of the most essential element of life on earth, water. It is rightly said, water is the driving force of all nature. If there is magic on this planet, it is contained in water. Evidences suggest that water existed on earth 3.8 billion years ago. It is a priceless gift to humanity by nature. People in India and other countries are struggling with water scarcity, while 3/4 of the earth is surrounded by water. Let's see this short clip to realize the harsh reality of the disbalance created by us. Leena ma'am, can we have it, please? Evidences suggest that we had, since the beginning of mankind, water was present on the earth.
एक दिन हमारे गांव में किसी ने नहाने का सावर रख दिया। हमारे आधे गांव ने पानी पी लिया और एक शहर वाले का नहाना अभी खत्म ना हुआ।
Chennai, Shimla, and many cities of Maharashtra are latest cities to face severe water shortage. 844 million people lack basic drinking water access. Women and girls spend an estimated 200 million hours hauling water every day. The average woman in Rajasthan walks 6 kilometers every day to haul one bucket of water. By year 2025, it is estimated that two-thirds of the world's population may be facing water shortage. Be water wise. Take our quiz to see how you can save this vital resource from going down the drain. You may answer me or you may write in the chat box. The first question, all living things need water, soil, or shelter for survival. Very right. I agree with you, Shimona, Leena, Smriti. Next question, please. Again, a very simple question to all of you. Why is clean water important? Do we need it for recreational activities, for transportation, to maintain temperature on planet, or all life depends on clean water for living and for growing? Namrata, Vibha, absolutely I agree with you. All life on earth. Definitely, Kuldeep ma'am, you are very right. Next, please. What percentage of earth do you think is earth covered with water? 50%, 71%, 60%, or 80%? Yes, all of us are very much aware of the fact 71% is the right answer. Keeping the water running, please listen carefully. When you brush your teeth, wastes a lot of water. It is one way to conserve water. Am I right or wrong? Is it false statement or true? Yes, I tried adding that trick here. It is false. It is not a way to conserve water. Then what is the way to conserve water? Throw it, drink all of it, or keep it clean? See, yes, Leena, Rukmani, Vaishali, very correct. Next, please. Which of the following, according to you, is a way of conserving water? Use a hose to wash the car, use washing machine at full load, leave the shower running while soaping, leave the tap running while brushing teeth. I agree with you, Namrata ma'am, Vishali ma'am, definitely. Rachna ma'am, this is using washing machine at full load is one of the best way of conserving water. Next, please. My earnest request to all present is to consider water as the most critical asset. Today, with 24 hours water supply available to us, we make negligible attempts to save water. Many of us have terrible habits of keeping the tap running while we are washing, brushing, shaving, or doing kitchen work, while loads of water is utilized daily. Very little is reused, and most is running waste in drains, polluting water bodies. Look at the facts and current statistics, which highlight the urgent and pressing need to conserve water. In fact, you will be surprised to see in the video how water resources are receding away. Of course, the best minds are working at it, and we know that it is possible to make small volumes of pure water in a lab, but it is not practical to make large volumes by mixing hydrogen and oxygen. The reaction is expensive and releases lots of energy and can cause really massive explosions. What I'm trying to say here is that water is priceless. If we do not use it sustainably, we ourselves will not be able to survive. Life further, please, Lina ma'am, can we have the next slide, please? Further, have a look at satellite images from NASA, which depict how fast water bodies are receding. Lakes are getting dried up. Life on the planet, my dear friends, cannot be envisioned without water. All of us must remember the PPT, the wake-up call given by late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam by his Save Water Year 2070 PPT, in which it was predicted that World War III would be fought for water. We have, as teachers, a prime responsibility to educate our young learners from the very basic years of the education to understand the importance of water. We are not trying to scare them, but we have to make them understand the importance of the same. We have to teach them little ways by which they can contribute by practicing certain changes in their day-to-day life. For example, they have to switch to bucket and mug bath in place of shower baths and tub baths. Plant more trees, but monitor the gardening and watering system. Do not wash using hose pipes. Clean up with wet mops and clothes. Turn off taps while brushing teeth, washing hands, face, etc. Be at home or be in school, wherever in a party you are. Do not waste water. We must encourage rainwater harvesting. Catch where it falls is the mantra. Teach them water audit. Begin with RO water audit at home. How many bottles of water is going down the drain to collect that one bottle of drinking water? Ask them to calculate further and plan to reuse that water. Make them do a small survey of their own homes and neighborhood for leaking pipes or taps. This is high time. Children must know that reality is disturbing. We have to take credible actions. Water ATMs should be installed. Innovation, in fact, is the need of the hour. Show them how Sonam Wangchuk has designed an innovative solution to solve acute water shortage in trans-Himalayan mountain desert of Ladakh without using any electricity or motors. They created ice stupas, we call them as ice cones also, and could grow crops in deserts. So, ma'am, can we have the video, please? We have to see for ourselves how oases and tree-laden mountains in Ladakh are made possible. And it is simply that they have connected water with the help of underground pipes.
Ladakh has always been a cold, high-altitude desert. Farming and livelihoods where we depend on glacial melt waters have never been easy. Add to that climate change. Glaciers that were very close to the villages have now receded far up. There's smaller and smaller mass of it. It's shrinking. The water situation has become even more erratic. Sometimes it's floods, sometimes it's droughts, more extremes. Our lifeline is disappearing, and therefore the need for the people to adapt, to innovate, and to find new ways of dealing with these hardships. This solution that we are working on, the Ice Stupa artificial glaciers, is about freezing the water that goes unused in winter into cones of ice. Because of this geometric shape, it doesn't melt till late spring, May, June. Now that's the time when people are dying for every drop of water. Imagine that the bucket there is the source of water. So we take a pipe upslope, put it in the stream or the lake, bury it 6 feet under the ground, and the pipe takes water down slope to the village or the desert where we want to green or plant trees. Because of the gravity, pressure builds up in the pipe. Then water comes out gushing like this. Now this sprinkling water, when it mixes with -20 air, it falls down and freezes. Over weeks, it becomes a huge mountain of ice. We started piloting the Ice Stupa in real-life application. People of the village came and volunteered to plant 5,000 trees, which were supported in the lean months by the moisture from the Ice Stupa. And that is a proof of concept. We should not stop at that. We will have 50 or so large Ice Stupas, which will then feed trees that we plant. We should go beyond just solving it into turning it into an opportunity to green the deserts that were never green by our ancestors. The two lakes are here and here, and the Ice Stupas will be also along the mountains. So using the land that's greened by one such solution to establish an institute that researches
I think all of you must have
systematically,
appreciated
scientifically,
the clean
finds solutions
blue
to
skies
problems that
and the
mountain
beautiful
people face
Ladakh.
now. We Ladakhis are the frontier to face climate change. We have to be resilient, clever enough, innovative enough to adapt to these changes so that our younger generation is ready to survive and flourish in these mountains.
With such videos, not only you have to make children appreciate the beauty of nature, you have to make them understand that India is a vast country and we are beautiful. Share positive news with them. Like around 10 days back, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu spoke on scarcity of water, called for a Jan Andolan to make water conservation a way of life. Initiate class discussions. Ask students to initiate a morning at home without a drop of water. Tell them to find it up about Jal Jeevan Mission in India, which aims at creating a uniform potable water supply infrastructure across the country. Next slide, please. This picture needs no caption. It speaks volumes about the harsh reality of scarcity of natural resources and how it is leading us towards the occurrences of such frightening sights. Wake up, take concrete steps to save yourself. Water, in fact, is circulated by water cycle on the planet. There is indeed a chance that the water in your glass in front of you right now is the same water that thirsty dinosaurs were drinking about 65 million years ago. Slogan for World Water Day 2020, my dear friends, is save water and it will save you. Nothing will be left here without water. Don't wait for 22nd March. Start making good lifestyle changes from today. That carries home the message: love thy nature, respect, save resources. If we respect nature, if we love nature, understand the beauty of it, the word is ours and for our future generations to love and cherish.
हरी हरी वसुंधरा पे नीला नीला ये गगन जिससे बादलों की पालकी उड़ा रहा पवन दिशाएं देखो रंग भरी दिशाएं देखो रंग भरी चमक रही उमंग भरी ये किसने फूल फूल पे ये किसने फूल फूल पे किया सिंगार है ये कौन चित्रकार है ये कौन चित्रकार ये कौन चित्रकार है
Now, I take the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of Mrs. Neerja Bhatnagar, Ms. Aditi, and myself, Vidhi Oberoi, on behalf of BBPS Noida. Our heartfelt gratitude goes out to our principal ma'am, Mrs. Asha Prabhakar, whose vision and motivation keeps us propelled to explore new opportunities and expand our horizons. Sincere thanks are due to Vice Principal Ma'am Mrs. Anupama Motwani for her constant guidance and support. Headmistress Mrs. Amita Ganju for always being there and help us stay on the right track. Thank you, HM, Mrs. Vinaya Pujari and Mrs. Sarika Pasi, principals of our sister Balbharti schools, for sparing their valuable time for us. A big thank you all of my dear colleagues from Noida and sister Balbharti units for being such a wonderful audience and participating so enthusiastically in the webinar. And last but not the least, our sincere thanks to Ms. Sheetal and Ms. Leena Madan for lending the technical support for smooth conduct for the webinar. A very big thank you to all of you.
Well done, Neerja, Vidhi, and my special thanks to Aditi. And well, ladies and gentlemen, Environment Club is a forum through which our students reach out to influence and engage their parents and neighborhood communities to promote a sound environmental behavior. Well, in school, though, we have a dynamic environment club, but I certainly feel after listening to today's webinar that we should have a class-wise, a section-wise environment club in the school now, and everyone, everywhere should assert the importance of learning to live sustainably. That is, environment remains a peripheral issue in the formal schooling system. And dear teachers, the environmental concerns are not to be treated as an extracurricular activity, but we at Balbharti Noida are to make it a priority subject. And this priority subject should be dealt in such a way that our future generations, they live happily, they do not become extinct. On this note, my heartiest congratulations to the two teachers, Neerja and Vidhi, and to the resource person, Aditi, for having joined us. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.